Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Welcome, all you hateful people who celebrate the president. I always love to remind you what the left think of you, but you're welcome here to Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. And joining me as my co-host is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. Nasir, welcome to Conservative Commandos.
Well, as one adorable deplorable to another adorable deplorable, Rick, what else can I say? We're just adorable and we are deplorables according to HRC. Anyways, folks, it's just another great day to be an adorable deplorable and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. Absolutely. Rick's got the American flag behind him. We always have our flags behind us. And I've got my American flag tie on, and we're ready to rock and roll once again.
All right. It's great to do this show with you again. Well, you know, Nasir, there's always so much to be that we can discuss here on Conservative Commandos. Sometimes there's so much stuff, it's almost hard to figure out where to begin. But let's start out with Adam Shifty Schiff says the House may not even vote on an impeachment inquiry. What's your take on this, buddy?
Well, here's what he said, and you guys can take a look and look at the verbatim. But basically, here's a quote. Shifty Schiff said, "We may have a vote on impeachment proceeding, or we may not have a vote. Ultimately, that decision that we'll make together with our leadership. But no one should be under the apprehension or misapprehension." This guy has no clue how to talk or write.
Oh, he does. But you see, what I do believe, Nasir, was going on here. They got their finger into the wind.
That's right.
They want to check out where the political winds are blowing.
That's right, exactly. And it just said that, and if we were to vote and authorize by the full vote of the House an impeachment inquiry that will in any way stop the White House complaints or attacks. So I think what's happening right now is that they got so out in front of their skis on this one again. They didn't learn from the Mueller report, and they just ran to this one here. And now all of a sudden, I think it was the other day where Shifty Schiff said, we might not even have the whistleblower testify. Now, I thought we were still in the United States of America where your accuser, this is the fundamental right, of the Anglo courts, that were set up, by this nation, that one of the things is that you have a right to face your accuser. You have a right to talk to him. This can't be in secrecy and whatever, but that's exactly what these guys are trying to do. The precedent was already set previously with Nixon and with Clinton, that in order to do any of these things, you had to have the inquiry vote on the floor of the House. And then from there, that afforded the rights for the president to have his lawyers present, for the minority to issue subpoenas. That's not what's going to happen if they don't have the impeachment vote, the impeachment inquiry vote, which handcuffs the president and his administration and his lawyers from, doing anything to help defend, this bogus case that's been brought against him.
Well, I'm thinking back on the Kavanaugh hearings, the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. Even there, they had Christine Blasey Ford. She was there. We heard her story. We saw her questions. We heard her answers to these questions. I can't comprehend that you're going to have an impeachment over what this whistleblower said without knowing who this whistleblower is, without the president's side having an opportunity to question and challenge the supervisor. But Nasir, all this is over one thing, in my opinion. Trying to nullify the results of the 2016 election to stop Trump in 2020. Now, notice what the Democrats are running on. They're running on this stupid idea of this new Green Deal, which people, in my opinion, do not like. And they're running against Donald Trump. Donald Trump. It's all you hear is you heard Russia, 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 and Kavanaugh, 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 and all this other stuff. Where are their ideas to present to the American people?
Well, they do have those ideas. Their ideas, you know what their ideas are: the Green New Deal, open the borders, take away our guns, give free health care to everybody, to help tell the whole world that our doors are open.
Nasir, they don't have winning planks in their platform. These are not winning planks. These are unpopular planks in the Americans' platform. Nasir, I saw a poll out there the other day that said 54% want an impeachment. Okay? But I would like to know how these polls are questioned, because I don't believe that. It's been my experience as being older than dirt, the things that I've seen with the Clinton impeachment, with the Nixon investigation and near impeachment of Richard Nixon. The American people did not like instability. The American people do not like instability in their government, and that's what an impeachment brings you. It grinds the actions of our government to a halt until we deal this and get by with it. It marks of a third world banana republic. People don't like it. They like stability in their government. I do not believe these polls that 54% want to see an impeachment. I think I would, if there's any reason I would like to see an impeachment, is for this, to expose the Democrats. All right? I want the American people to see what they really are, just like the American people saw what they were during the Kavanaugh hearings and the Mueller investigation. Okay? I think this would be very, very bad theater for the Democrat Party. I say bring it on.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, here's the thing. Just a few days ago, if you go to the New York Post, they released an analysis Saturday which is questioning and putting the Fox News polling agency into questioning as to what's going over at Fox News, and said that Fox News misrepresented their poll, which was suggesting that a majority of Americans supported impeachment of President Trump. Here's what they found. This is Braun research. They found that when they conducted the survey, and they know that 48% of its response were Democratic, however, the Post revealed that the actual was based on party affiliation, was that in terms of 38% independent. And then they weighted the poll for party affiliation, which would have revealed that only 44% of Americans, or less than a majority, backed the impeachment. So here's what's going on, is that even outlets such as Fox News are now getting into this, what we call this, propagandizing and weaponizing the polling data to basically start to shape the opinions of Americans. We can talk about that. There is a ABC, I'm sorry, what was it? They went into Ohio and they did a focus group. And you've seen this before, where CNN usually goes out once a year and they go out into the flyover country. And they look shocked when they ask people, what do you think of the president? And they all raise up their hands and say he's doing a great job. And the interviewer from CNN or NBC is always shocked. So guess what they found out? That the focus group of Ohio swing voters is showing that there's a distraction of the impeachment. They're saying, look, why aren't you guys talking about jobs? Why aren't you talking about the border? Why aren't you talking about illegal immigration?
Absolutely.
And so I think the people now are getting it through our voice here on Conservative Commandos and others out there.
That's because the alphabet media does not want to talk about jobs. They don't want to talk about incomes. They don't want to talk about the lowest level of unemployment in 50 years, nearly my entire lifetime. They don't want to talk about Black American home ownership. They don't want to talk about that. They just want to focus on anything negative about Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump. They want him removed. This past 3 years to them has been a nightmare. It's been the dream for the American economy, but it's been a nightmare for the Democrat Party and their liberal allies who want their power back. I mean, the Trump presidency has been such bad news for the left. They don't want to talk about it. They don't even want to think about it. As I said, they have nothing to run on.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, it's all been a way of, like I said, usurping the mandate of the 63 plus million Americans who voted. They still haven't come to terms with the election. You still have people that are in prominent positions of power within the Democratic, party, and these people still will come out, congressmen, pundits, will still come out and say and call this president illegitimate, which I think is borderline treasonous. I mean, our enemies probably are laughing at what's going on. And our friends out there are probably so afraid, saying that if America falls, where will we stand?
Right. Well, Nasir, we have to go to break, but I really do think that an impeachment of Donald Trump is a winning item in his platform.
Absolutely.
Come 2020. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. We're going to take a break, and on the other side, we'll tell you who our guests are and the topics for conversation are for today. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. And Nasir, the hallmark of the Conservative Commandos radio show is our terrific guests. I invite our listeners and viewers check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Check out the guests that we've had on in the future or in the past. And for future guests, maybe you'd like to recommend somebody. Maybe you yourself want to be a guest. It's easy to do. Send an email to me. It's rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I read every email. Put in the subject line, guest recommendation. Again, it is rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. It's just rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. And Nasir, speaking of guests, we've got 3 more great guests joining us today.
We do. Our first guest is Jason Isaac. He's a senior manager and distinguished fellow of life, powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. And he's going to be speaking to us about his article, America Needs Freedom to Innovate, Not a New Deal. Our second guest is Adam Andrzejewski. He's the CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com, which is the world's largest private database of government spending. He's going to be talking to us about an article that his think tank wrote, which is Open the Books, and it really gives you insight into this whole thing about how congressmen and senators and, the pay to play, and I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Unbelievable article, great read, no doubt about that. And finally, we have Vicki Alger, who's a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. She's also a research fellow at the Independent Institute. And Vicki is going to be talking to us about an article that was written by one of her colleagues, Charlotte Hayes, which is California finds a devious new way to thwart charter schools. So once again, 3 great guests coming up with lots of information, Rick.
All right. And Nasir, by the time this airs, the Democrat debate will have already taken place. 12 Democrats on stage. They all tried to out-liberal themselves. That with the new Green Deal and the gun control and more taxes, more spending. And I think they're a little bit hypocritical here, Nasir, because on another front, everybody is got the NBA and China on mind. All right, they all hate the NBA, they all hate China, but everything they're proposing, Nasir, reminds me of the way life is in China.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've got Bernie Sanders, who's so I think if you look at the polling, is in third. Depending on the polls, you can either see it's either Sanders has sort of, come up and Biden has come down. And those are the 3. The other 9 that are on the stage, that's just, food for fodder basically out there to show the diversity, so to speak. Nobody really cares about that. But the Democrats don't want to be, counselor in the fact that they didn't have diversity on the crowd. How much diversity, who knows? And then like you're talking about, Hunter Biden just did his interview with the anything but conservative, ABC crowd out there, and are they going to attack Biden?
Common sense, actually.
Absolutely, in terms of that. So you've got all these guys that are vying, and it's going to be who can out-left the next person that's out there, who can say the most provocative thing that's going to get the minority or the slice and dice, individual, what we call how the politics on the left are, identity politics. Who can they pander to next? I mean, every time, what was it? CNN had the climate change thing. Then they just had the LGBTQ MOUSE, open house or forum, whatever you want to call it. So here we go again. And as you said before, nothing that the vast majority of Americans will approve of. But hey, let them go down that road. You want to talk about a stark contrast between the Republican Party and Donald Trump and what the left is offering? I don't think it's ever been any starker, any clearer than going into this election of 2020. And I think I love to watch, though. I mean, I know a lot of people wonder why you watch them, but you know what? Just so you can reinforce to yourself what these people are, and then you can talk about it to friends and say, do you really know what these guys want to do? And just like you said, are they lifting us to make a greater America, or are they lifting us down to become like China?
Yeah, and Nasir, I'm sure there are people out there who think, well, they're running as liberals, but they'll govern as moderates. No, because if you look at Barack Obama, he
probably wouldn't be allowed now.
Well, he governed to the left of
Yes.
what he campaigned on, okay? And for instance, the Defense of Marriage Act, where he refused to enforce it, all right, and other things. He ran as a liberal. He actually governed to the left of that. And any of this crowd, should they get elected, they would have to govern to the left of where they ran as, because, you know, it's the job of any politician to get reelected in 2 or 4 years.
Right.
From the moment that they take office, that's what their focus is on. So they know they're going to have to try to push through all these liberal, idiotic ideas like the New Green Plan or the New Green Deal or open borders. You know, or, for instance, Beto O'Rourke said the other day that he was going to take away the tax-exempt status of any church or organization that did not accept gay marriage. All right? They're running as liberals. They're going to govern to the left of being liberal. They really do. You know, Nasir, you talked about Hunter Biden. A lot has come out about Hunter Biden, not on the alphabet networks, not on the media arm of the Democrat Party, but conservative talk. You've heard about it. You've seen about it. I don't know why the liberal media won't finally pick up on this Hunter Biden story. I mean, when you see the things that Joe Biden admits to on tape, and by the way, we have that video on our website, ccrshow.com, where he admits to threatening the Prime Minister of the Ukraine that if he didn't have that investigator fired in 6 hours, he was getting on a plane. He was heading back to Washington. He was taking any money back with him. And if he didn't believe him, just call Barack Obama. Talk about quid pro quo. Nasir Shaikh, there's your quid pro quo.
Absolutely.
And then I also wanted to get my thing in about Hunter Biden. Again, here you got a drug addict, somebody who was drummed out of the Navy for drug addiction, gets a job making $175,000 a month from this Ukrainian energy company. What makes Hunter Biden worth that kind of money? I have no idea, except for his last name and that his father was vice president. Wow, isn't that quid pro quo? Talk about that, liberal media. Haven't heard it coming from you guys.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, I have a feeling that I am really shocked and surprised that they allowed Hunter Biden to do this ABC interview, and some of the transcripts that have leaked out into the press. He's now admitting that his father's position helped secure him an $83,000 per month Burisma role.
No, it wasn't $83,000.
Well,
I don't know where that figure came from. The figure was $175,000 a month. That's what the figure was. I saw that figure of $83,000. Even that's ridiculous.
You're right.
Even that is, maybe that's what it was for a half year. I don't know. Do the math
But
yourself.
the fact of the matter is now is that Americans are fair. We're fair and decent minded, but we can smell a rat. We can smell that this story stinks to high heaven. Yeah. And so when this is out there, now you have the Sun basically saying that, you know what? There are a lot of things that I wouldn't have received if my last name wasn't Biden. But you know what? There's a difference, I think, Rick, between in the private sector. We can argue the merits of whether or not, but you know what? That's the private sector. This is how many of us have had a father as vice president or a president. And I ask this to any detractor out there, any person that wants a defense mind. I ask the question, interchange Vice President Biden to Vice President Trump. I know he doesn't like us to say that because that would be a demotion, obviously, as Sean Hannity has been saying so long. But you know what? Imagine him, and then imagine Don Jr. or Eric or Ivanka, and they had gotten some type of a job from the Ukrainians or from the Russians, and it wasn't in real estate. It was in something else. Do you know what would have happened?
Well, what
they
was
would have
Hunter
run apoplectic. Absolutely.
What was Hunter Biden qualified for? Again,
Nothing.
This was a drug addict who was drummed out of the Navy because of his drug addiction. Now, I hope he got help. I hope he was able to beat that addiction. But still, by and large, what is his expertise in energy?
Crony
that
capitalism is his
justifies
expertise.
$175,000 a month job? And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking with Jason Isaac. He's a senior manager and distinguished fellow of Life Powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. We're going to be talking about America needs freedom to innovate, not a New Deal. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our guest right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
My camera's not centered. Now it is. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And just as a reminder, if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Also, please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, Nasir, we do have our first guest of the day with us. And as you always do with all our guests, make them feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have Jason Isaac, who's the Senior Manager and Distinguished Fellow of Life, powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Prior to joining the foundation, Jason was elected 4 times as a state representative. During his 8 years of service, he proved his conservative bona fides as he successfully passed legislation to reduce taxes, strengthen election integrity, improve public education, and to preserve Second Amendment rights, among many other things, private property rights, protect local groundwater as well. He was repeatedly honored for his commitment to limited government and proved to be an effective leader. Jason has appeared on many, many news shows. His articles have been published in many publications. Jason, welcome to Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Thanks, Doctor. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, great. Well, we're going to get into your article that you wrote, America Needs Freedom to Innovate, Not a New Deal. But before we do that, for a listening and viewing audience, give us an idea, what exactly, is this a think tank powered at Texas Public, Policy Foundation? What are you doing for the citizens of Texas? And is it only for Texas, or does your thing branch out into the country as well?
No, the Life Powered Project is a national initiative of the Texas Public Policy Foundation, a 501c3 think tank focused on liberty, personal responsibility. But Life Powered's mission is really to raise America's energy IQ. We want to make the connections from the products that we enjoy in our daily lives and the freedoms that we have as American and where we get that energy from to power that freedom. So I work all over the country speaking to organizations, to school students as well. We've got public school curriculum that we make available that's unbiased energy education curriculum for school students. We work with policymakers around the country to make sure that some of these policies aren't put in place, like the Green New Deal, that would extremely limit our freedoms for really no environmental gain whatsoever. We're a world leader in environmental protection here in the United States. We're a world leader when it comes to clean air. We're number one when it comes to access to safe and clean drinking water. That's a message that we find that many people don't know about. They think our environment's getting worse when it's actually getting better and significantly. And the United States is really leading around the world when it comes to reducing poverty. So our energy is pulling people out of poverty around the world, and that's a message that we need to communicate to people and to policymakers around the world, quite honestly.
Jason, do you feel, I was going to ask another question, but with what you were talking about, it brought something to mind. Do you think that we need to somehow separate out this climate change, whatever you want to call it, discussion from environmental issues? Because I think what happens is the left sort of conflates the two and basically says that if you're against climate change, you also are against the environment. When you mentioned talking to young children, I tell people, and I've heard this thing before, that we're really playing Russian roulette with our children if they haven't been indoctrinated. I mean that in a good word from the right, into conservative values and principles. Because when they go off to college, if they're not grounded in the conservative values, you probably lost them. So how do you do this and talk to small children, or children in middle school, grade school, even in high school, and try to get this point across without getting, into the murky details of the IPCC reports and those kind of things?
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to some students last week in Fort Worth, 200 high school age students, and I asked them, do you think our air is cleaner today than it was 10 years ago? Not a single hand went up. I said, do you think our air is dirtier than it was 10 years ago? 100% of those students raised their hand, think our environment is worse. And so then I share information with them. And actually, it was a little bit outdated information, being a year old, saying our air quality, we've reduced harmful particulate matter, harmful pollution, 73%, when actuality, the number is now 74%. We're continuing to make incredible air quality gains. And the kids were like, they were shocked. Their mouths were just dropped open, their eyes wide open in disbelief, because they realized at that point in time they'd been lied to. They'd been misinformed. And I said, you should be proud to be an American. You should be proud to wake up in this country every day, because we have something that the rest of the world doesn't have. And that's access to a safe, clean environment, access to safe water, and energy, turning on the switches that we want to turn on and have access to power, which people in Northern California aren't experiencing right now because PG&E, quite honestly, is shutting the power off.
Jason, I have to ask you, how did the teachers react to your message?
Interestingly enough,
children.
the same way the students did.
Wow.
They're shocked as well. They're like, well, gosh, where did you get this? I actually had the students, where did you get this information from? I said, the World Health Organization, who, by the way, the United States has the strictest air quality standards, and we're the only country that meets them. And this is the World Health Organization, which is really not too fond of the United States and our energy dominance that we're experiencing. But they say that we're a world leader when it comes to clean air. And so the teachers are even mad, which is refreshing to find out that they're learning as well as the students are.
Nasir, I find that a little bit surprising, don't you?
I do.
They're the ones that feed beside the media, they're the ones that feed the kids' heads with the nonsense of this green energy, global warming.
Yeah, and it's really limited to what they can find out there online, and unfortunately the curriculum is very biased. It's very anti-fossil fuels, and so we're working to change that. We want the curriculum to be unbiased information about all forms of energy produced, so that the kids can challenge their own critical thinking and make up their minds for themselves.
It's tough. You know what it is? Google manipulates, search engines and whatever. So this information is probably way, way down there. Jason, your article, one of the things you talk about, Beto O'Rourke, he's the Irishman who wants to be Spanish. But you write that his fix is to guarantee net zero carbon emissions by 2050, which is 20 years later than the Green Deal. My question to you is, there are three things we hear about, and try to give an idea to our listeners and viewers. For example, what is the difference between net zero carbon, carbon credits, and a carbon tax?
So net zero is really getting our emissions in the United States to zero carbon emissions. Now, you could still have carbon being produced, but you're capturing that carbon and maybe injecting it into the earth or injecting it into soil, or you're storing it to make carbonated beverages. The big one here in Texas is Topo Chico. So I often remind people that, yes, sparkling water is CO2. You're actually ingesting it, and it's not killing you. That's another form of carbon capture, if you will. A carbon tax is merely just taxing the energy producers, where these have been failed policies in other countries, and more often than not, they're reversed several years later, because all it does is lead to higher cost of living with no environmental gain. And it's interesting that Beto, Robert Francis O'Rourke, wants to go to net zero by 2050, which is 20 years later than what the Green New Deal calls for, by 2030. And then you've got other people out there that are pushing these 100% ban on fossil fuels, and they want to go 100% renewable. Well, you're not making a single renewable without fossil fuels. You cannot make wind, solar without hydrocarbons. It's just not possible. It's idiocracy at its best. But if you do go net zero carbon emissions, using the lovely UN IPCC models that you referenced earlier, the benefit to our country, if you go net zero by 2030, the temperature reduction in the United States, get your jackets on, it's going to be cold, a lot of sarcasm there, 0.097 degrees cooler using those UN IPCC models that they use by 2050. Net zero by 2030 means 0.097 degrees cooler by 2050. It's nothing. It's zero environmental gain whatsoever.
Jason, I by no means, stake myself out as a climatologist or whatever. But the thing that I don't understand, if we're talking about global climate temperatures, and we're the only country that are going to be reducing and getting down to net carbon zero, how do they isolate and say that the temperature in the United States from the East Coast to the West Coast, from New York to California, in a little bit of a bubble, will only will only go up so much or go down so much, when you've got countries like the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, that aren't going to do anything? How come their carbon dioxide footprint isn't going to affect the global temperature, which may affect ours too? I mean, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah,
no one's
they're
really
saying
been able to explain that.
Yeah, the U.S. reduction would lead to a global temperature decrease. But it's interesting to note, if you're concerned about carbon dioxide emissions, if you're concerned about that, since 2005, the U.S., again, a world leader in reducing those emissions, have reduced by 12%. That's the same increase that China has experienced over the same time frame. So where we're decreasing our carbon emissions because of governmental policies that are forcing, whether it's at local level or state levels, that are forcing these jobs. Guess where they're going? We wind up exporting the jobs, and then in turn we import the pollution. 65% of the pollution in California comes from Asia. And it's because I joke with members of Congress that of all the technology the Chinese steal from us, it'd be nice if they'd utilize our pollution control technology, but they don't. They don't have the scrubbers that we have to produce the electricity that we have for the manufacturing that they have. So that pollution, anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks across the Pacific Ocean, impacts the air quality in California.
Yeah, that's
then we export jobs and import pollution.
Yeah, that's an intellectual property right I think the Chinese will forego.
Yeah, absolutely right. They don't want that one because it costs more money, quite honestly. But it does improve air quality significantly when you do utilize pollution control technology like we do here in the United States.
Wow. Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Jason Isaac. He's a senior manager and distinguished fellow of Life Powered at the the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Jason, we have to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Yes.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be back with more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and I'm Rick Trader. And our guest this segment is Jason Isaac. He's a senior manager and distinguished fellow of Life Powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Jason, thank you for holding through that break. I always appreciate your time. Jason, every time I hear this idea how CO2 is so bad for us, I want to bang my head. I really want to bang my head on this microphone I'm wearing here. And actually, on the back of my car, I have a sticker. And I'm going to hold up a little miniature of the sticker I have on the back of my car. It says, I love CO2. Jason, why do you think I love CO2?
It's necessary for life on Earth. It's plant food, and it produces the oxygen that you and I are using right now to be here. We're exhaling CO2, and every now and then a sparkling water is a good thing.
Well, not only is that a good thing, it helps you to make iced tea, which I drink a lot of. Jason, in your article, you write, according to civil rights lawsuit filed on the behalf of poor in California, in particular Latinos and African Americans, the California Air Resource Board hurts the poor with climate rules. It even contributes to, what is this, resignation?
Resegregation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Explain that to me.
Yeah, there's a group in California called the 200. It's 200 civil rights organizations and leaders that are suing the state of California, the California Air Resources Board, because they're saying their environmental policies that they have passed and put forth in the state of California are violating the Civil Rights Act. Believe that, almost 50 years old or over 50 years old, the Civil Rights Act. And here California is allegedly violating it based on their environmental policies that are resegregating African Americans and Hispanics further away from urban cities, driving them out further, forcing them to pay higher for their electricity costs, higher for their commutes. The fuel cost of California compared to Texas, I don't want to tell you, $2.60 a gallon here in Texas. I drive a natural gas pickup truck. I'm at $1.99 a gallon. I know you think in California over $4 a gallon, and it's because these environmental policies that have not improved the environment in California. So one of the reasons you're seeing the forest fires that you've seen is because the legislature said we're going to leave the forest alone. We're not going to manage them. And unfortunately, that's led to dead and dying trees on the ground that are, guess what? They're fuel for fires, which have led to the release of more carbon. You know, Europe and all their environmental leadership, their unachievable leftist dreams, are using a lot of renewable sources, according to them, to provide electricity. The largest renewable source that is used in the EU is biomass from trees that releases 300% more carbon than burning natural gas, 150% more carbon than burning coal, because they're burning trees to produce electricity. They're burning their carbon storage devices to produce electricity.
Jason, have you ever been to France?
I just through the airport in Paris.
Well, I recommend it. It's a beautiful country, a terrific history, wonderful art. But you know something I learned about France when I was there, and that's 80% of the homes in rural France heat their homes by burning wood.
Yeah, absolutely. And that number is increasing because the cost of electricity is skyrocketing, and you're actually seeing freezing deaths increase in Europe because people are having to choose between heating and eating. And so it's unbelievable. And you do have an incredible difference between freezing deaths and people dying from heat exposure. It's almost 10 times greater likelihood of dying from freezing than it is from heat. And you have people that are unfortunately losing their lives because they're freezing to death in the winter.
Jason, you also have in your article about higher gas prices and vehicle miles traveled because people have to work farther than from where they live. Hit minorities harder because they typically live farther from the work. But, you know, Jason, it seems to be a domino effect with this, raising gas prices, putting more taxes on the price of fuel, that, as you describe in your article, more wealthy people in California can afford it, but those who can't, they're really stuck with the higher prices, and they're not really getting cleaner air and cleaner water for it.
Yeah, and you see lawsuits happening now because the CARB certification for vehicles and their emission standards is greater than what the federal government mandates with their CAFE, their corporate average fuel economy standards, which has led to a significant increase in the cost of new cars, which are more environmentally and energy efficient, but people are forced to drive older cars because the average cost of a new car has skyrocketed as we've added more regulations. So the least among us are having to live further away from their jobs. They're having to drive further, having to drive older, more inefficient, and less safe vehicles because older, wealthy, and white people have put these terrible policies on people in California in the name, again, of these unachievable leftist dreams.
Well, I remember that, an older white person, but I've never taxed anybody more for energy. Jason, you also write in your article, California imposes new costs and restrictions on home building, which makes housing even more expensive. For every $1,000 increase in the median home price, almost 10,000 Californians are priced out of the market. What do these people do?
Well, they're doing what they're exactly doing. They're living in vans and vehicles in increasing numbers. They're living on the streets in significantly increasing numbers because they're priced out of home ownership. That's one of the greatest things in the American dream, is owning your own home one day. And to price people out of homes because of regulations to protect them, let them make those decisions about how they want to build their homes on their private property. But it is a great taking of private property, which this country was founded on private property rights. It's just abhorrent to hear this happening around the country, knowing that you've got homes in Northern California, new home construction can't be built with natural gas access. Well, you've got thousands of homes where PG&E is turning off the lights for fear of starting forest fires. And people are dying. They can't charge their electric vehicles. Well, one avenue would be to have a natural gas generator powering your home.
Yep.
But now Berkeley, California, and other cities are following suit, saying, no, we're not going to allow natural gas to go to your home. It's about control. That's what it boils down to, is they want to control every aspect of our lives.
Jason, where did this idea of these carbon tax where'd that all come from? Who dreamed up this great idea? Do you have any idea? That whoever it is should have been shot. But, where did this crazy idea come from?
I think it started in Australia, was the first carbon tax that was passed, and it took a matter of just a couple of years to completely reverse it and do away with it, because the people, like what you've seen in France happen with the yellow vest protests that have been happening over the last year, for an increase in cost of living, people have been flooding the streets of Paris, wearing yellow vests. And they're tired of the cost increase, and it's not improving the environment whatsoever. But again, it's about control. It's about controlling manufacturing, controlling people's freedom to travel and move about the country.
Well, Jason, I don't think this idea is about the climate in the least. I think it's about bigger government, more government control. I believe it's about more this idea of income redistribution. And I also think a lot of it, especially when it comes to the UN, and the UN being controlled by the third world now. Oh, let's soak the rich, those Americans, and take that money where we live to Africa and to Asia. Jason Isaac, am I thinking a little bit too far outside the box on this one?
You're absolutely not. There are people around the world that don't like our American energy and our American dominance, that we can produce a barrel of oil in an MMBTU of natural gas for cheaper than anywhere else in the world, and that we can do it because of American innovation, and then we can export that energy around the world. They don't want to see us succeed. They don't want to continue to see our republic be as successful as it has been. And it's interesting because we have this opportunity to export our energy around the world and reduce emissions. There's some new research that have come out just in the last couple of weeks that we can actually export natural gas from the United States to China and have a 47% reduction in emissions as that same natural gas being imported into China from Russia. So this is what the people, the world leaders around the world, are fearing, as they're fearing American energy dominance and environmental protection. And both of those, economic prosperity and environmental leadership, go hand in hand. Our environmental policy should serve mankind and not the other way around.
I love that idea, Jason, because that's bringing some of those American dollars back to the United States. And I remember the Olympics in Beijing, where it was so dirty they had to shut down their industry for a week or two before the Olympics.
Yeah.
So people could act to see the games. The air is so dirty over there, and it's because they burn a lot of coal.
They do, without the pollution control technology.
Exactly, without the pollution. Hey, Jason, if I have time for one more question, I know we kept you a little longer than what we wanted to. Other than the idea that I had that a lot of these carbon taxes are going to end up going to Africa and Asian places to redistribute wealth, to drag everybody up out of poverty, where is this tax money going?
It's really for pet projects in governments. It's not going around the world, because if it was going around the world, you'd see an incredible growth of the use of propane in countries like Africa, pulling people out of poverty. Right. Because people are getting access to energy around the world. Fortunately, it's American energy they're getting access to. We're pulling people out of poverty. That's severe poverty. There's got over 1 billion people that don't have access to electricity. That number was more than doubled 10 years ago. So we're doing a great job of ending poverty around the world.
Let me ask this question: If these lunatics succeed in their goal of zero carbon emissions, remember that carbon tax they were collecting for years and years and years, and all the crazy things. And once the politician starts to tax, they can never stop the tax because they always find ways to waste this money. So if we're at zero emission and they can't collect this carbon tax any longer, where are they going to get this money to feed these pet projects of theirs that they started when there was a carbon tax? Jason, have any idea how to answer that question?
No, the economy would simply collapse. I was speaking to some people in Illinois, and they were concerned about one of the presidential candidates on the left that's a front runner, saying, she wants to ban the use of fossil fuels, and they're scared in Illinois. And they said, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? And I said, well, I'm glad I live in Texas, because we'll become the republic again, and we'll be fine, because we're not going to put up with that, because we really are.
Jason, please do that, because it'll give somewhere for people like Nasir and I to go to.
Yeah, well, I've joked that Texans will resettle California 100 years ago when everybody has left, because of the environmental policies that are forcing people out and enforcing the increasing cost of living.
Unfortunately, Jason, a lot of times they bring their politics with them.
That's why I say welcome to Texas, vote accordingly.
Yeah, Jason Isaac, Senior Manager and Distinguished Fellow of Life Powered at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Jason, please tell our audience where they could read your article. Great article, by the way, and that's why I asked you on the show today. Great article. How can they read this article, follow your work and the work of the Texas Public Policy Foundation?
Rick, Nasir, and everyone listen, I hope you'll go to lifepowered.org. That's lifepowered.org to learn more about our efforts to raise America's energy IQ.
Jason Isaac, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Don't go away. Nasir and I will be back with our next guest right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. I want to give a shout out to all those folks listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, and now in Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. And with that, Nasir, our next guest is with us. You have the honor of the introduction.
Thank you, Rick. We have Adam Andrzejewski. He's a CEO and the founder of OpenTheBooks.com, which is the world's largest private database of government spending. He's also a senior contributor at Forbes Opinion, and he's been on various radio and TV shows as a commentator. Adam, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be on the program, Doctor. Thank you very much, Rick, and Doctor, for your interest in our work.
Oh, absolutely. This is it's a small little article, tiny, and it's Open the Books, the Congressional Favor Factory Oversight Report, Legalized Pay to Play, a study of federal grants, campaign cash, investments, employment, power, and influence. And during the show and after, we'll give our listeners and viewers the website where they can go to view the final report. But let me ask you a question, and this is, you basically have said up front that nothing here is illegal. There is no quote unquote quid pro quo. I guess you're sort of leaving that up to the reader to decide. It's amazing how all of a sudden Latin has become so prevalent in our discourse. 3 words, quid pro quo, for a variety of reasons. But let me ask you a question. That is, I thought the whole idea that sort of had been set up for as long as I can remember is that the reason that we elect representatives, to the Congress in our areas is because they promise that they're going to bring back the quote unquote, the beef, the bacon, whatever you want to call it, back to your district and utilize that for bringing, jobs, manufacturing, and all of that. So, I mean, if it's not illegal, why do we worry about it?
So I think that, most people, we took a poll of our subscriber base at OpenTheBooks.com. And actually, Doctor, we had a lot of respondents. We had 1,900 respondents to our poll. And 96% of the respondents said that they feel it's unethical for a sitting member of Congress to solicit federal contractors for campaign cash if those contractors are based in their district. And it's a big issue with our base. 92% of those respondents said that it was an important or very important issue. So that's what's at stake. Should a powerful member of Congress be able to solicit federal contractors based in their district for campaign cash? The American people get it. They think that's a conflict of interest. They think that if you're accepting campaign cash, that you should not be advocating for those contractors in the halls of Congress. And so our oversight report, very simply, it was a lot of work, took us about a year to put together. We mashed up the federal checkbook with the congressional campaign donor disclosures, and what we found is an absolute mess.
Oh, yeah, I see. For example, just to give folks an idea, on one of your page 2 of your report, you basically write, and you actually had 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans, so you tried to make it evenly balanced. And For example, Representative John Larson of Connecticut, United Technologies, who you say is a federal contractor, the contracts and federal payments, he received nearly $250,000. The PAC money was around $120,000, and then about a piddly amount, $14,000 was just chump change probably from affiliation lobbyists. But the contracts that he awarded or were awarded were $16.1 billion, and you listed the grants were nearly $84 million. So we're talking a huge amount of money. And before I go any further, can you give me an idea, since this is what you're basically doing, is when they get this into their campaign war chest, what are they allowed to do with that money that they don't spend? I mean, is that something they can take with them when they leave office, or is it left with the GOP or the DNC? I mean, how do you, you've got all this money sitting around and you utilize it for your reelection, but obviously none of that money that you get can be used privately, correct?
Right. They're not supposed to be able to profit personally from their campaign fund. And we'll get into the next one in a second, Republican Tom Cole. But you asked about John Larson. So John Larson is a powerful congressman. He actually is a ranking member in the Democratic caucus, sitting on House Ways and Means. They carve up the federal checkbook. His number one campaign contributor all time to him, since he got to Congress, I think it was 1998 he got to Congress, is United Technologies, a defense contractor, a Fortune 100 company. John Larson owns their stock. John Larson issues press releases touting the earmarked money going back to United Technologies. For example, United Technologies, one of their subdivisions, makes the engines for the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter airplane. Each one of those costs $100 million. In the last budget, President Trump wanted 78 of those fancy jets. Larson brags he brought home the bacon. He got 90 of them. So an additional 12 F-35 jets cost the American taxpayer $1.2 billion. So the amount of money, $377,000 that United Technologies has put into John Larson, is that serving the public interest, or has John Larson figured out how to monetize the wealth of his nation for his own political capital?
Well, here's a question that I would bring. Let's play the devil's advocate. So let's say if John Larson, who is there in CT District Number 1, where Pratt & Whitney is, which is a huge defensive contractor, who would you have lobby to get that money coming in if it's not John Larson? Would it be okay for, let's say, somebody from, Pennsylvania?
So at the nexus of your question is, what's the solution here? It's a very simple solution. John Larson should reject any acceptance of campaign donations from the federal contractor in his district. It's a conflict of interest. There's no other way around it. You can't be in the halls of Congress advocating on behalf of that contractor while the contractor's executives, affiliates, political action committee, and lobbyists are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign cash. But right now, Congress writes the rules. The rules are so lax and at arm's length, and that's the key. At openthebooks.com, we don't have subpoena power. Right. So we just assume all of these transactions are at arm's length, and on that basis, they're all legal. And I think that's exactly what the problem is.
Exactly. Now, never let it be said that the conservative commandos, doesn't allow both sides of the story. So let's talk about Representative Tom Cole, Oklahoma 4. Give us an idea. Obviously, their federal contractor is the Chickasaw Nation. And again, the same thing, $161,000 from individuals, $38.5 from the PACs, almost $60,000 affiliation. Nearly, let's call it $700 million in grants were given. So give us an idea about Tom Cole.
So Tom Cole is a Republican from Oklahoma, and Tom Cole is a powerful Republican. He sits on the Appropriations Committee. They actually, write the appropriations in the committee. And so, he's a member of the Chickasaw tribe. The Chickasaw tribe is based in his district. As you mentioned, they received $700 million worth of federal subsidies. Those are grants. They've also received $434,000 worth of surplus military equipment from the Department of Defense, including mine-resistant vehicles, mine detection sets, infrared illuminators, night vision goggles, and what the equivalent, surplus military rifles that fire the 308 ammunition. But Tom Cole has received $258,000 from the nation itself, the Chickasaw Nation, the executives and employees of that nation, and their affiliated lobbyists. So a tremendous amount of money. And for the last 9 election cycles, he hasn't even had an opponent that raised any money. But this is a particularly interesting way to use your campaign funds. Tom Cole, since 2002, has hired his own political consulting firm. He's in a partnership with Cole, Horwath, and Snodgrass, and he's hired his own firm. He's paid his own firm over $200,000, and he has I think he paid his own firm $224,000, and he has admitted on his congressional disclosures that he has taken payments from that firm since 2003 of over $320,000.
So that's the way you can do it. You can take funds that are coming to you from individual donors from the PAC. You form your own company, basically, which is sort of arm's length and saying that this is I need this to get reelected. And then you pay that company, and then that company pays you, and the money basically gets washed, and it's perfectly legal?
Well, we reached out to the Federal Election Committee on this one. And look, here's the rule. The test is whether or not the campaign expenditure would have been made anyway. And it also has to be made at a market value, a market price. So there's a lot of gray area built into the law, and Tom Cole is maximizing the gray area. He's able to take campaign money and pay his own firm, and his own firm's paying him.
No, you're absolutely right. And here's the thing that we always see all the time. It seems that the rules are different for those that are the rulers versus the rulees. And for example, just like you said, there were people that we've heard of on committees, like in the pharmaceutical industries, and they know if a new drug is coming to market or is being developed. And all of a sudden you've heard, I think that was one of the secretaries, had with some conflict of interest, but they've never disallowed that, this insider trading. Whereas if you and I sort of did that, the SEC would be all over us. But it seems like, people in Congress get a pass. The same thing happens in terms of with, healthcare. They don't really have to take the healthcare that they purport for everybody else. They have their own healthcare. What about the banking scandal that occurred where they were allowed to write checks against the bank and over withdraw tremendously? I mean, you do that at your bank over here. I mean, first of all, you're going to shut your account down, then they're going to fine you, and then you're probably never going to be able to open up a bank ever again unless you, put those funds back. So it's one rule for the goose, another for us ganders, I basically say.
And that brings us to the next case example we have in our report. We have 8 of them, as you mentioned, 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. So this is transpartisan. This cuts across all party lines. Mm-hmm. Congress writes their own rules. The rules are lax, and they're maximizing all the power at their disposal. Look, I just want to frame this. This is a symptom of big government. Our founders never envisioned that Congress, these elected representatives in the House, would have so much power over the nation's wealth. And when you have more spending and more regulations, you have, by definition, more conflicts of interest. And here's another one. Powerful Democrat, Jim Cooper. He's out of Tennessee in the Nashville area. He sits on the committee of the budget. He carves up the budget. In his district is Vanderbilt University. And Vanderbilt University, on grants alone over the course of the past 5 years, has received $2 billion. They also get federal contracts and direct payments. And they also employed the congressman back home on a side job as an adjunct professor while he was that sitting member of Congress for 12 years. And Cooper collected over that 12-year period over $250,000 worth of cash compensation.
Well, that's nothing compared to Joe Biden, and maybe we can talk a little bit about Joe Biden in the next segment, Adam. Adam, we got to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few seconds, please?
Sounds good.
Excuse me. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, who's choking on this information. I can't believe it. I should have been a politician. And you're viewing the Conservative Commandos radio show. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our guest with more. And I'll probably choke more about it right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And thank you for staying with me, or with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest is Adam Andrzejewski. He's the CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. I don't know where they get the time to do this, but they put together like this 38-page report. And it is the Congressional Favor Factory Legalized pay-to-play. You know, we've heard a lot about quid pro quo pay-to-play that maybe wasn't so legal. But Adam, you have a very interesting fact right at the beginning here. 97% of members of Congress get reelected each year, though only 17% of American people believe their representatives are doing a good job. You know, Adam, it's one of these things. I don't like your guy, but we'll keep reelecting mine, you know, part of it. But
well, our report goes right to incumbent advantage. And the American people need to know just how bad it is out there.
Yeah.
And so that's why our report is so important.
Well, it's more than important. And like you and Nasir were talking about in the beginning of the first segment, Nothing, and you write this about your report, nothing we've uncovered in our oversight report is illegal. In fact, it's all legal. But Adam, is part of the reason for that is the same guys who supposedly live by the rules also wrote the rules in the first place.
And that's why it's so hard to bring reform to the way Congress operates. Look, they've got a great deal going in here. Once you get elected, once you get on a powerful committee where you're carving up the budget, you can rake in the campaign cash. You are controlling large segments of the nation's wealth. And these men and women in both parties have figured out how to take the nation's wealth, the taxpayer capital, and maximize it for their own political capital and sometimes for their own personal capital.
Adam, why did you pick these 8?
Here were the criteria. There was basically 4 criteria. Number 1, they had to be a powerful member of Congress. That means they had to sit on, the committees like energy or House Ways and Means Appropriation, Budget, or Oversight and Government Reform. And all of those congressmen and women sit on those powerful committees. Here's the second thing. They had the federal contractors had to be based in the member of Congress's district. They had also, those federal contractors had to receive large amounts of federal grants. Federal grants are giveaways, they're subsidies, they don't have to be paid back. And the 4th criteria is that the federal contractor had to be a significant campaign donor to the member. And on this show here, we'll showcase the top 5 members where the federal contractor was the number 1 donor all time in the member of Congress's career.
This is incredible. You mentioned Jim Cooper, professor at Vanderbilt. What say he got like $250,000 a year? Well, it wasn't a year. That was in the aggregate over a 12-year period. Okay, he made between $20,000 and $23,500 for 12 straight years. Well, he needs to talk to Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has been a part-time adjunct professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and for 2017 and 2018, made like $800,000 as an adjunct.
Well, I did not know that.
Yes. So, old Jim needs to get up with old Joe, and, they got to figure things out for Jim.
But here's the difference between Biden and Cooper. Cooper was a sitting member of Congress. His number 1 campaign donor were the executives, including the chancellor of Vanderbilt, and the employees of Vanderbilt. The number 1 donor all time to Cooper. And then, he's on the budget committee. He carves up the budget just in 5 years. They get $2 billion worth of grants. They get federal contracts and direct payments. And they're employing him for $5,000 a quarter. Now, look, there's more too. Like ahead of the 2018 midterm election, Cooper writes, Congressman Jim Cooper's voter guide to voting in students, voter guide to voting in Nashville. And guess who puts it up on the website? Vanderbilt. They distribute and promote the election guide. In 2013, Cooper gave a how-to address at Vanderbilt on how to bring home federal grants. I kid you not. He's on the committee of the budget. I'll tell you how you do it. Congressman.
He's the expert. He's the go-to guy. Adam, we got to wrap up this interview in a minute or two, but I wanted to hit you up for your solution. How do you stop this?
It's very, very simple. It doesn't even take an act of Congress. It just takes some ethics amongst the members of Congress. And here's the simple solution. We talked about it earlier. Reject accepting campaign donations and stop soliciting the executives, employees, political action committees, and the lobbyists of federal contractors based in your district. That removes the conflict of interest.
Adam, I love you, but you think they're ever going to cut their throats? You really think they're ever going to cut their own throats? You think they're going to cut off the money and the power and the prestige?
And this is why we the people hold the power in this system. We have to bring that white hot spotlight and hold them accountable. Look, these members of Congress, they're supposed to oversee the federal activity in their districts while they're raising money from the significant players in their district. This is obscene. If even in Illinois, look, we're based in Illinois, openthebooks.com.
Well,
it is the Super Bowl of corruption.
What I wanted you to do is we got to wrap up in a minute,
okay.
And I wanted you to take that minute to tell us how our audience can read your report. Believe me, it's 38 pages, but there it is, pretty picture and everything. I love it. And also, Adam, first tell us a little bit about Open the Books and what you guys do.
So last year we filed 60,000 Freedom of Information Act requests, and we compiled for the first time in our country's history a record of virtually every single public employee's salary and pension record at every level of government across the entire country. So if you and your locale are interested in how much these government bureaucrats make, come to our website. You can look it up. You can also download a free copy of this report, The Congressional Favor Factory.
All right, and Adam, again, give out your website again where people can...
It's openthebooks.com.
Openthebooks.com. Adam Andrzejewski, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I mean, look at him, Nasir. He's there. He looks casual. He looks like he's in his den at home. And I don't know how he finds time to get all this work done, but this is... I guess it's like if you need something done, ask a busy man to do it. But Adam, we want to thank you so much for joining us once again here on Conservative Commandos. One more time, that website.
It's openthebooks.com. You can find us on Facebook or just come to our website.
Adam Andrzejewski, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless. And you are viewing and listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have Vicki Alger join us. She's a senior fellow at the Women's Independent Forum, and we're going to be talking about California finds a devious new way to thaw charter schools. Don't go away. We will be right back.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and we want to give a shout out to the folks who are watching us on television stations in Northern California as part of the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Wine Country, Silicon Valley, and Redding. And we appreciate your patronage here. And with that, Nasir, we do have our next guest with us, and please make her feel welcome.
I will do so. Thank you, Rick. We have Vicki Alger. She's a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum and a research fellow at the Independent Institute, and also the author of the book Failure, The Federal Miseducation of America's Children. Vicki also had the distinction of serving on the Trump-Pence transition, advising them on federal education policy, and she's also advised the U.S. Department of Education on public school choice and higher education reform. She's also with her public policy outlets through the Harvard University's program on education and policy and governance. She's been on many TV shows and on various radio outlets as well. Vicki, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, great. We wanted to discuss, charter schools in California. It was an article written by Charlotte Hayes. California finds a devious new way to thwart charter schools. But give us an idea in your perspective as to what is happening out in California in terms of their public policy as it pertains to public school. What are they doing to thwart, as this article says, and anything that you can add to it, charter schools or magnet schools? And what are they doing in terms of if parents want to homeschool? What regulations or boundaries or walls are they putting up to try to thwart, people or, their citizens out there to say, we want to take our children's education in our own hands, but the policies out there are not allowing them to do that?
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, the charter school legislation that the governor just signed is a terrible step backwards for parental rights and parental choice in education. This is what the bill does, essentially. Imagine McDonald's being in charge of determining how many new Wendy's stores could open. That's what's happening. This bill, under the guise of transparency and accountability, just gave public school districts a lot more power to decline new charter schools from opening. And so what district public schools can do now is say, you have a negative fiscal impact on us, so we don't have to authorize you, no matter how strong your education program is, no matter how innovative it is. Public school districts can say no. In other words, they can deny their competition from opening. So that's the first thing we need to realize. What my colleague Charlotte Hayes wrote about is another bad aspect of this law, which is it requires that all public charter school teachers be certified the same way district public school teachers are certified. So in other words, we're getting more of a choice, not an echo. So I think in the final analysis, this bill is a great boon for schools of education, for bureaucrats, for regulators, and the status quo. It's like I said at the beginning, a huge step backwards for parents and students.
Well, I think people would be surprised to say, like, for example, if you could go into a school district and let's say you gave people a choice and say, hey, you know what? We could have maybe for a semester, we could have Bill Gates come in and teach our children. Or we could have cellist Yo-Yo Ma come into our district for a year. Or maybe perhaps, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice would be willing to teach a course on the Constitution or on history. And you're saying that, or Charlotte Hayes is saying in her article, that they would not be allowed to teach in their respective fields of computer science, music, or political science because they weren't state certified. I mean, this is unbelievable. So this is another way of preventing good people from teaching in schools. Yes or no?
Oh, well, absolutely. And let's think about it. Don't we always hear that we're in a near perpetual state of teacher shortages?
Right.
It's reaching crisis levels. And when you look at the teaching environment teachers have to deal with, heavily bureaucratic. They, every aspect of the curriculum is dictated to them. Meanwhile, you have people who have been absolutely successful out in the real world in a whole host of subject areas. And because they don't have that little piece of paper, or they don't jump through all the regulatory hoops to get that piece of paper, they're effectively barred from the classrooms. And this is something, that freedom to hire the most qualified person, people with real world experience and or advanced degrees. Because an advanced degree doesn't necessarily mean you're a great teacher, but you have the life experience. We're really depriving California children of that experience. And I think, again, it's a terrible move, and it benefits the bureaucrats. It doesn't benefit students.
And as always, I think all of these regulations, all of these things always hurt the minorities amongst us. Because like you said, you may have in the minority community people that have great experience. Maybe they've opened up a business. They didn't go and get the 4-year degree and the master's and the PhD, but they have real world experience in business, or it could be in anything. I mean, you're talking about, baking or the science or the arts, whatever it is out there. And now somebody wants to change their career and say, you know what, I'd like to take whatever I've learned and teach other people. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they're thwarted. How difficult is it, though, out there to get these certifications? I know the article mentioned, sometimes they have to pay $300 to $400 or whatever, which, it is a cost. I don't think an exorbitant cost, but exorbitant is in the eye of the beholder. But what else is it beside the money? Is it 6 months of training, a year? How long do these certifications last? Or is it easy as just getting a piece of paper and signing a few documents?
Well, it's not easy. And I think that's the first thing. And let's think about whom would like to be attracting into the classroom. These are people with busy lives, successful lives. And so asking people to return to a formal brick and mortar classroom is a little unreasonable. It's not for, 6 weeks or a couple of weeks. These are certifications. Licensure can take years at a time. So it's, that hundreds of dollars, that's just an upfront cost. So a lot of people, and let's think of the quality of education you're getting in a lot of these teaching schools. I know a lot of teachers, K-12 teacher friends of mine, who said, oh my gosh, am I sick of coloring for my advanced degree? What a waste of time, what a waste of money. I think there are some practical things that we could do to improve teacher preparation, specifically have proven and successful veteran teachers partner with newer teachers to learn how do you manage a classroom, different teaching strategies, sort of like we do with medicine and with medical doctors. That would be, I think, a really good improvement. But asking people who are successful in the private and nonprofit sectors to go through all these hoops is unreasonable.
Further down the article, they talk about the differences, for example, between Arizona's policy and California's policy, and how Arizona's charter schools have always ranked, in the top 5 or 10% across the board, not only within their state, but across the nation as well. So give us an idea. So what is Arizona doing that California is not?
Well, I'm very proud of my home state of Arizona. I am an Arizonan, as you know. We have embraced parental rights and we've embraced liberty. in all aspects, including education, and that makes the difference. And we have a proven track record. And let's set up the context for comparison between Arizona and California. We have a more challenging student population in terms of poverty, minority status, and so forth. We spend thousands of dollars less per student than California. But guess what we have? If you look at, for example, the U.S. News and World Report's ranking of the top public high schools in the country, we dominate. I think almost all of the public high schools that are ranked top 10 are Arizona. You keep going down and we dominate the top 25. In fact, we have more top-ranked public high schools, most of which are public charter schools, than California and New York combined. And that's because we take a very different approach to allowing great schools to open. And most importantly, we put parents in the driver's seat. Parents decide what option is best for their children. And we don't have to play mother may I with any government bureaucrat.
Okay.
You're on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Our guest is Vicki Alger. She's a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. Vicki, we got to take a little break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Absolutely.
And you are watching and listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show. He is Dr. Wright. He is Dr. Nasir Shaikh, the doctor for the Republic, and I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. The topic for our conversation with Vicki Alger is California finds a devious new way to thwart charter schools. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more from our guest right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of the show or maybe share it with a friend, best place is to go to our website, and that's CCRShow.com. CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our rebroadcast of our TV show, A lot of great articles and a lot of great information, if I must say so myself. Our guest this segment is Vicki Alger. She is a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, and we're discussing an article that was written by a colleague of Vicki's at the Independent Women's Forum, a very good friend of the show, Charlotte Hayes. But Vicki, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for holding through that break.
I'm happy to.
Well, the article we're talking about is California finds a devious new way to thwart charter schools. And in Charlotte's article, she writes that California lawmakers have reached, or policymakers have reached a deal that could hamper charter schools' abilities to provide unique learning environments. Next line, the proposal would require all charter school teachers to obtain the same credentials as district school teachers. Now, I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment, Vicki. I know you and Nasir talked about this, but my devil's advocate question is, isn't this a good thing? Isn't this putting more qualified, better qualified students in these charter schools? What would your argument be?
Putting more qualified certification is no guarantee of quality. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there, because we think, my goodness, if you have an advanced degree in this area or that area, it necessarily makes people better at what they do. Mm-hmm. However, let's look at the reality. Look at how many teachers pass the state certification. Basically, everyone passes. We pull from the bottom third of any college class. You're allowed to go into teaching. So unlike other countries that have very successful school systems, including all children doing very well in core subjects, regardless of their socioeconomic background, unfortunately, we don't do that well. And it has everything to do with their preparation and training. And you can hear complaints from educators themselves who can go on and be very successful educators in spite of that training, in spite of all those hoops and certifications. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to make sure that we look at real teacher quality and not just assume that because someone has a piece of paper that they're going to be an excellent educator.
All right. In Charlotte's article, she talks about California already compels charter schools to hire teachers with a state-approved credential. Well, why doesn't the state-approved credential include these other things that they're now requiring, or is this just added on, or what's with that?
It's just added on. Basically, the California Teachers Association and folks who are defenders of the status quo don't want any competition. So the more regulations we can pile on, the more difficult we can make it for others to enter the teaching profession and go into charter schools. Charter schools are growing so quickly all over the country, including California, particularly because their environments are very inviting to successful, innovative people. Mm-hmm. Now, how are we going to do that if public charter schools are basically carbon copies of district public schools with all the bureaucracy and red tape? That doesn't really bode well for innovative or flexible teaching and practices. So that's another way to minimize the effectiveness and success charter schools are having, in particular with students who, for whatever reason, just aren't doing well in a typical district public school setting. So that's really the end game, in my opinion. Pile on more regulations and make it as difficult as possible to be successful.
Well, Vicki, and you and I have had this conversation before. I'm really kind of negative on government schools as it is. If I had kids, I'd pull them out of a government school. I'd put them in a private school. But I got to ask you, what's the difference between a government school and a charter school? Aren't the charter schools part of the government? Please explain the separation here and why are the charter schools better than the public schools?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's one of the most frequently asked questions I get about public charter schools. The fundamental difference between a district public school and a charter public school is that charter public schools don't have all that district bureaucracy and red tape. They have to follow the same admissions guidelines, testing and accountability requirements as district public schools, but because they're freed from that rigid structure, rigid bureaucracy, they have more freedom over, well, they're supposed to. They're supposed to have more freedom over whom they hire, their contracts, how they teach curriculum, and what they can offer. That's why you see a lot of public charter schools that are more focused schools. For example, arts charters, music charters, science charters, all sorts of a little more specialty charters, career technical education charters are becoming tremendously successful and popular. So they have more freedom, and they do it typically for a lot less cost. Now, what California is doing is they're cutting back on that precisely because these schools have been so popular, and parents are choosing them over the status quo.
You know, Vicki, Alger, whenever I hear of things like this, makes me think about the old money trail or who's going to benefit about this. How are the unions, the teachers' unions, dealing in all this? Do they have a part of these new regulations or new certifications that California is instituting?
Oh, absolutely. They have huge skin in the game, because one of the differences between district public schools and charter public schools is that charter public school teachers don't have to unionize. So,
how about that? That's
ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding,
well,
ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Now, they can if they want. So it's a choice that each, teachers at each school make. And freedom is not high up on the priority list, unfortunately, for the teachers, any teachers union, when it comes to union membership, and perhaps more importantly, all those union dues. So if you want to follow the money, that's why, which is ironic, because we know from history that public charter schools were advocated by a self-identified socialist from the Amherst Teachers College back in the 70s.
This is why I'd say I'd pull my kids out of government schools. That's one thing. Vicki, when we're talking about the actual cost to get these certifications, I'm looking at the cost for these qualifications will cost physical education and music teachers nearly $300, while art teachers will have to pay nearly $260. It doesn't sound like a lot, Vicki Alger, but what are the other costs, the ungreen costs that go into getting these certifications?
Well, I think you bring up an excellent question, because there are opportunity costs. We might think, oh, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there.
Yeah.
But this is sort of I would consider it the camel's nose under the tent. Well, we're just asking them to get a little certification here or there. Next thing you know, you have to have a bachelor's degree in arts or music or so forth. Now you need a master's degree. Even if, just as it is now, that's extra time. That's extra, extra cost, extra time, and where's the benefit? I would really love to see some studies that somehow people magically, mysteriously go from taking student achievement to this level, post certification, we're up to here. I haven't seen that evidence. So, and it's a barrier for folks who are already busy and successful, who would probably really love to get back into the classroom and share their knowledge and experience. But it's like, I don't have the time to pay this money and sit in courses that go on for weeks or months at a time. So those are the opportunity costs. When you think about, we want to attract every best possible person to our children's classrooms.
Right. And I don't want our audience to think I'm anti-teacher. I love teachers. In fact, I married one. One of the smartest decisions I ever made. Vicki Alger, Senior Fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. Vicki, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos. I know you follow education issues for the Independent Women's Forum, and how can people follow your work and the work of the Independent Women's Forum and the Independent Women's Voice?
Well, please check us out at www.iwf.org, and you can see all of our work as well as our affiliated organizations, Independent Women's Voice. And please follow us on social media through IWF on our Facebook page and at IWF on Twitter.
All right, Vicki Alger, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
You as well. Thanks so much.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Nasir and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Well, Nasir, that just about wraps it up for today. I want to thank you for sitting in as my co-host. And Nasir, how can people follow you when you're not on the Conservative Commandos with Sharon or me or somebody?
Well, thank you, Rick. They can follow me on my Twitter account, which is at Nasir Shaikh Show. That's at Nasir Shaikh Show. Or they can go to Facebook at The Nasir Shaikh Show. That's The Nasir Shaikh Show.
And Nasir, we had 3 great guests, and will you do the honors of thanking them?
We did. Our first guest was Jason Isaac. He was a senior manager and distinguished fellow of life at the Thwart at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. And Jason was talking to us about his article, America Needs Freedom to Innovate, Not a New Deal. We also had Adam Andrzejewski, who's the CEO and the founder of OpenTheBooks.com, which is the world's largest private database of government spending. They have a wonderful report out there that he went over, 38 pages, basically in terms of, talking about congressional pay to play and how everything sort of, how the money flows in Washington.
Yeah, and the scary part, it's legal.
And it's very legal.
All legal.
Absolutely.
All designed to keep incumbents in power.
That's right. And you can go to their website, openthebooks.com, and you can download the free report there. And finally, we had Vicki Alger. She's always welcome here at the Conservative Commandos and our friends at the Independent Women's Forum, where she is a senior fellow, also a research fellow at the Independent Institute. And she was talking to us about an article that a colleague of hers had written, and it was California finds a devious, however, a new way to thwart charter schools. So once again, Rick, 3 great guests with wonderful information, as always, here on the Conservative Commandos radio show.
All right. But for now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.